Welcome to the channel. I am your host Tetsu Omega, and this video is CAF approved. And this is At the Movies with Tetsu Omega. Now, this show I like to talk about certain movies, clearly. Whether it's a hit or not, it's completely your opinion, I suppose, and one's opinion. But I like to talk about big box office movies. Hopefully I'll stick in that genre a little bit. Now, this I like to talk about the movie. I don't really get into the background, the history of the movie, the directors of the movie, what the actor's background. Just a movie. And today's movie is Charlie's Angels, 2019. This one stars KRISTEN Stewart as Sabina, Ella BALINSKA as Jane, NAOMI Scott as Elena. Now, you cannot have your angels without your Bosleys. And that's right, Bosleys. This movie, we have three, played by Elizabeth Banks, Patrick Stewart, and Djimon Househoff. That's our Bosleys. Now, we'll get straight into the movie. After all, there is a lot to go through. There's a lot of nonsense that goes on in Charlie's Angels 2019. Let's get started. As the dinner gets started pretty sexily, there's a beautiful date going on. It is at Johnny Smith's hotel. A nice suite, not a very high hotel resort, I suppose, some sort of casino, maybe. They have an argument over what women can or cannot do, and who picked up who, and who allowed who to be where. Now, this gets heated up pretty quick. The guards are on edge, but Sabina calms them down with a few words in their language. No translation, of course. You might have it. I did not. But they were calmed down enough so Sabina can continue with the Cirque du Soleil act, the ribbon act, where she flipped herself upside down with two ribbons, and she's like flipping around, doing some sort of thing. It's supposed to be sexy, I guess. She's upside down. And before he knows it, and she says, she's starting the Cirque du Soleil fight. But she can't win, she knows it. And she says she's just a decoy, where the angels, the squad, the team of angels burst in with action and to take out Johnny Smith and his thugs. After all, Johnny Smith is a bad person. A real bad person. You say, what did he do? What did Johnny Smith do to get the angels, the ire of the angels? Well, he stole money. He stole aid money. Aid money that went to women, children, and refugees. Let that sink in for a little bit. They didn't say where he got it from or how he got it from it, but he got it. Lots of it, because apparently he used it to get that suite. Very beautiful suite. Enough to brag about it. But as soon as everything gets, somewhat before everything gets wrapped up, Bosley walks in. Enter Bosley to officially wrap the scene up. So the angels can now go. They're free to go. So instead, doing what normal people would do, go to the front door, exit the building, take your SWAT cars and go home. No. They are hardcore angels. They leave the angel way. And that's rappelling off the roof. So out the window they go and fly away, leading them to the intro. The intro of the movie. Now, the intro does say a lot about the movie. Actually, everything about the movie. Because intro has nothing to do with the Charlie's Angels, except for the fact that there are women represented in the movie. So girls doing fun activities are in the title screen. Nothing to do with the movie, nothing to do with the, the Callisto, which we'll get into. Nothing to do with anything to do with the movie. So, intro is now over. Now this is where we meet our first questionable. This is where things get questionable. I know it's just started, the movie just started, but it already gets questionable. Brock Industries. Peter Fleming is having a meeting with his head engineer. Elena Hewlin having a meeting about, of course, the Callisto, this thing that they're developing. And he needs to get to Alexander Brock at a certain time, post-haste. But Elena does not think Callisto is ready. After all, it has a problem with its harmonic range. It can be reversed. It's reversible. The harmonic range is reversible. Oh my, what does that mean? Means brain surgery. No, brain seizures. You should ask Julio. He was hospitalized with a brain seizure. Thank goodness he's still alive. Now, that doesn't mean anything. Mr. Fleming says, you've got to agree with what I say. It's got to go regardless. And with that, the meeting was over. Elaine was out. Elena was out the building, was out the office. But before she can get to her office, maybe, I don't know where she was going to, she was stopped by a secretary, making sure she got a card. She said Elena dropped it. Elena denied dropping it. Well, she didn't drop it, but she made sure she received the card. Then we cut, hard cut, to Bosley, sneaking in to the Angels' headquarters. The lights turn on. It's a surprise party for Bosley. Maybe it's done by Sabina, who knows? But maybe it's Sabina. So, with that, he can't leave without a surprise. It's a goodbye party, and they have a nice slideshow, a nice PowerPoint presentation about pictures that were their past. And what better way to end a nice retirement party than a speech of his gratitude to have started this chapter in America with the Angels. And hard cut. That's right, hard cut to Alexander's estate, where Callisto will be shown off to Alexander, of course. And in order to do that, the power was turned off to the estate. Then Callisto was given to Alexander Brock, who gave it permission by a thumbprint to do what it wished, to give permission to Callisto. Then Callisto was then asked to turn on the power to the estate, which it did. Wow. A Bluetooth power without it powers a house with the Bluetooth, nothing attached. What a wonderful thing. The size of a Rubik's Cube. Now this whole power supply is also a small EMP. This Callisto is what this revolves around the movie. This is what the movie revolves around, Callisto. So now, Alexander asks if there could be any problems with it. No, just the fact that it comes in many colors. The fact it comes in many colors. And I guess that shocked Elena. Hard cut to a gym. We are met up with New Bosley with his first recruit, Jane. They're sparring and they're met up with Sabina. And they talk about a possible trip to Hamburg. Sabina talks about hamburgers. New Bosley says he's a vegetarian. Cut to a new meeting where Bosley is meeting up with a possible new angel or a turncoat, informant, Elena. Now what is she now? What is she doing? But they're meeting up in a coffee shop. A nice coffee shop with books. So, they don't know each other. I don't know. There's no real... They're just a card. There's no idea what's going on here. She doesn't know what she's looking for. He apparently doesn't know what he's looking for. But they've got a newspaper. Identical newspapers, which I guess that's what they were looking for. I got a newspaper. So they meet. Instantly, she's telling her story. At least I think, because they're not really focusing on them too much. They're focusing on the other angels and their dumb banter around, I think. Because they have the whole place scoped out, guns out, looking for trouble. And there is trouble. Because there is where we first see Hodak. That's right. Hodak, the assassin. Out to get Elena, maybe. Yes, Elena, because they don't want this information going out there that they need Callisto out in public without any. It is what it is. They don't explain. I'm just assuming right now. Okay, so they find out that he's there. Bosley gets Elena to safety. Not without a big fight. We have Jane fighting Hodak in the thing. Jane gets away. They drive off. Hodak is after them in the car. Big chasing. Big epic chasing. Now, this chasing includes a minigun and a machine gun. The minigun is mounted to the dashboard of the Hodak, and he's blasting away, and you have Jane up top shooting her machine gun, and pretty soon you're going to have Sabina joining him on a motorcycle. The minigun of Hodak jams or runs out of bullets. Then he resorts to a handgun, where he's very more successful, where he ends up shooting Bosley in the neck. This gets crazy. And ends up T-boning Bosley and the girls into a ravine, river, some sort of port. They're going down. Hodak goes to finish him off. Sabina stops him from finishing the job, but he gets away regardless. Jane escapes, sees in a car that Elena is still alive, and pulls her out, but looks at Bosley. He is clearly dead. Do not bother to save the guy. He's a dead dude. Leave him alone. It's over. No point. Next scene, cut to the angels mourning over Bosley It's a sad time. Okay, fun and games are over. Let's get back to work. We got to meet the new Bosley. And this is a giant headquarters. It's got a beautiful kitchen. It's got like your cooking utensils, your coffee machine, coffee makers, not machine, maker. That's right. Means business. It's like part office, but loungy as well. Very loungy. So, this is with Elena's there now. She's with new Bosley, and she tells her about the her problems or her concerns about Callisto. So, right there, they hack within no time at all. Hack Brock Industries' security system, which is high tech apparently, but no match for a home computer in the headquarters. Laptop, I think. Okay, so now they have to get Callisto. They have to get Callisto. So in order to get there, they got to go to Brock Industries. So they've got to infiltrate Brock Industries to get Callisto. So they get ready. Now, they have hacked their mainframe. Now they have some information. So how are they going to get in there? So they find out that they need a disguise. A very clever Susan disguise. So here it is. Elena dresses up like Susan, even though Elena does work there. She's dressed up as Susan to infiltrate. She gets in, and a security guard recognizes her. Does she recognize her as Susan, or does she recognize her as Elena? I don't know. Because if he recognizes her as Susan, Susan's already working. Therefore, the whole thing's busted. Therefore, plan over. But if she recognizes her as Elena, then why is she wearing a damn... okay. It is what it is. She breaks in. She gets to the washroom where she meets the other angels, who are also dressed as Susans. But how they got in? Montage time. They're in. It doesn't matter. So, Jane, she infiltrates the lab. She meets a technician there who helps her escape. But right then and there, the security knows something's going on. So they're on to Jane, who escapes with the engineer, who makes this nice little smoke bomb to escape. But now Bosley must call everybody in. So Sabina finds her way out. But the other two do not. So they're all running around trying to find them. So Jane ends up meeting up with so they get the security guard's attention. Now this is where it gets crazy. Now this whole thing with the inside the Brock Industries is is really pointless. But it says a lot about what Callisto is. So they make a commotion. They get the attention of the Brock Industries security to see who is infiltrating. And so while they're saying, oh, that's what they look like. That's they end up. Jane calls up Susan to go to the engineering room, and while she's doing that, security guard says, "Oh, that's the one." So they stop her. While that's happening, Elena meets up with Jane. And Jane is holding Callisto. She just has it. She just has it. But it's too late though. Security has shut down the building, so they're met up with these giant steel doors. How are you going to get out? So they used Callisto to get it open. They popped that thing on what it would be a control board. and they use it as an EMP. So they had made sure they shown this. There was one security guard that went in. He was right by the door saying, "You cannot get through." Elena says, "I know this guy. I got to do something." So she tries to get this guy away. So clearly they're very close by. She gets pulled away. EMP goes off, opens up the door. He drops down, but seems to be dead. Even though it did not kill the second scientist there, Julio. Did not. But apparently it killed him. So they were going to grab it back off the wall, saying, "Oh, we got to get Callisto. Don't leave it there." Here it is. Get Callisto there too. There does them just but use it as an EMP. Got to get Callisto. It's been used once as an EMP. Don't bother. It's completely useless now. Can you believe it? Leave it there, it's garbage. Angels escape. Now, the angels find themselves at the Berlin outpost. A very important place because this is where they meet Michiko. I call him Michiko. He was called Michiko once, and I'm calling him Michiko. He is also known as Master Saint. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting, because Michiko is really part of their health and well-being. Sabina and Michiko meet. Michiko comes up. He's like, "Oh, how's Sabina? How are you?" And Sabina, yes, hi. Grabs him, intervened, whatever. He calls him Michiko. Yes, Michiko. Then Jane comes in. They do a pa. Gets her in the stomach. Poof. You'll miss some burpees. Then new bossy meet. They do the old kissy on the cheeks. Fine. Then she introduces Michiko to Elaine, who is, I guess, currently the head engineer of Brock Industries. They shake hands, very cordial. After all, they just met. But Michiko is not a saint for nothing, not a master for nothing. He recognizes right away that she's got a amazing energy, and B, she's also has a misaligned rib. Oh my, with a handshake, that is incredible knowledge. So Michiko has to do something about it, but he can't just put his hands on a lady. He needs to ask permission like a gentleman. So with her permission, he would like to help her. And he does. So with one hand on her shoulder, one hand on the hip, he fixes her rib. She's fine now. Master Saint Machismo also feeds mind, body, and soul. He's also a master of cheese, with a beautiful arrangement of cheese. So, cut to the new bossy outside of the HQ, meeting up with the car, giving over some information, and saying, "What should we do with Elena?" Now, is it setting up something, or is it not setting up something? But it was there. But it is a questionable thing. So, with that, they cut to Bosley. Bosley is now he is now concerned. He is being followed or trailed or being watched. Could it be? Now, he's at his friend's place. He's a watchsmith, I suppose, and he has his watch out, which he got a gift for his retirement gift. A gift, which is his retirement gift, was a watch. So he had that checked out, and his friend said it's all clear. So I guess he had the transmitter in his hand. And they go, okay. They like, okay, we'll give a good hug. And it goes off. Oh my goodness. His body had a tracer in it. Some sort of tracering device in his body. And how did he get it? He thinks back. It was new Bosley saluting him with a drink. A drink, perhaps, with a certain tracer in it. Okay. So, now there's a twist in the plan, apparently. Peter Fleming is a bad guy too. These some prototypes they would like to sell. And he's in Istanbul for that. To sell it. But the angels need to get there. They're in a... they find herself in a changing room of the Angel's Wardrobe house with all sorts of accoutrements amongst the bulletproof clothes. You know, they're talking about she needs a bracelet to communicate with the angels. But the angels do not have bracelets of their own. They've got these neck tattoos, these cool neck tattoos. And she wants one too. But she can't get one because she's not an angel yet. But what are those tattoos? These tattoos aren't normal tattoos. They are subdermal transmitters with bone conduction. That's right. You thought Marvel went nuts with their nanotechnology. You get a load of this. So, they need to get to Istanbul. And the only person they know over there is an old friend of Jane's, Fatima. Could she possibly be a former M1-6 teammate at a certain clinic where somehow Jane left her in a bad way? Very vague on that. But, nevertheless, they needed Fatima's help. A place to stay. So they bribe her with some clinic supplies for her clinic. I suppose it's for women, children, and refugees. It's got to wrap up. The whole thing wraps itself into a tight little ball and kicks itself down a steep hill. So, that doesn't quite cut it. But a nice foot spa does $15. Holla! So, with that, she gives all the information she has about Peter Fleming and where he's staying and what is what. So, he's apparently staying at the Abraham Pasha Hotel. Sabina infiltrates. She gets, well, there's a whole thing about her infiltrating, ridiculousness, but she's there. She infiltrates. She gets her information off the computer. She takes her to his toothbrush and dunks it in the toilet, puts it back. Telling you that she's a playful person and a creep. Okay. So they get his agenda. Full agenda of the computer. Which he needs to sell these prototypes. And he's making a sale at a Turkish derby. That's right, a Turkish derby. So they infiltrate that, the three of them. They've got to take different grounds to cover up everything. So Elena is disguised as a 1920s lady of the night, making contact and small talk with the patrons, while looking out over what's going on. Sabina disguised herself as a jockey, getting full advantage of ground zero. While looking over all of them is Jane with her trusty sniper rifle. They find that he is not alone. Fleming is not alone. Now they see Haddock there. And they think, oh, the assassin, let's get the assassin. The angels scurry around. I guess Fleming and Haddock feel something's up. They make a hasty retreat. Meetings elsewhere for some reason. Only the people who were in hectic mode were the angels. So they're off. And what does Sabina do? She intervenes by stealing a horse. She rides around, tries to catch up to this car. The car speeds away a little bit. She jumps off the horse, grabs a tracer device and throws it. Sticks on the car. Easy peasy. She rolls harmlessly off onto the floor. No problem. Now, the funny thing, Jane, she was getting away. She had to get out of that damn tower. Thank goodness she had an umbrella. And there's a cord that's going down at a very steep angle. She hooks the umbrella and she slides down like Peter Pan. Without it harm, she's a professional. So now, Fleming takes the sail to the rock quarry, where, surprisingly, he meets up with Johnny Smith. The one who's been stealing from children, women, and refugees. So he meets up with him, and who else is there as well? Mr. Haddock. He's there as well, so they're all in it. But Johnny Smith is just a representation of somebody else, his boss. He's representing somebody. So the angels get ready for battle. They get there. They park in a working quarry. People are working. They park in the quarry, and they start making their way to where it counts, where everything's happening. And you see you see Jane. She runs across these tubes, which is clearly a feeding tube to for a truck. So it's kind of ridiculous. And she's running across these tubes, CGI'd across, very convincing, to an office, which is very high off the ground. This primitive office. And she's on the roof now, and she opens up a hatch and she falls right in. Easy peasy. Punches a guard out with one punch, no problem. Now she's on the computer. Cut to her friends, sneaking around, trying to get to Jane. A worker spots them. They have an Altoid, poisonous Altoids on his neck. Out he goes. Is he dead? Possibly dead. That's what they think right there. He's good as dead. All right. So so Lena puts a rock where they get to the place. They meet up in Jane's office. So Sabina and Jane takes the body that Jane punched in the face, and they toss it out the window. I'm assuming this guy's some sort of boss, keeping watch over everything, some supervisor. So his body was just tossed out the window. This dude he's just a sack of meat now, tossed out the window. Does employees know or care? Who knows? Doesn't matter. So now Elena puts a query on lockdown, and this primitive. I don't know how you do that, but she did. She put everything on lockdown. And the angels go infiltrate, see what's going on, see what they can do about the sales. So now the sale was for a suitcase. That's right. The suitcase. It was a suitcase for money, suitcase cash, for 6 KRISTENs in a thing. They wanted it had a suitcase of cash and a promise of a wire transfer. Yes, that's right. Money and money to come. I guess they got the money right away for it, but the money to come depending on if it works or not. And Johnny Saint wanted results. He wanted to see someone die. But this is where Peter Fleming decides it's not a good idea, and this gets him shot in the head by the assassin. Because after all, I guess they don't really need him. So as soon as this happens, now the angels are already inside the rock quarry. So gunfight ensues. Things go get crazy. They all split off, and now Elena, she is, after all, the professional engineer, the head engineer of this company, and in pops in a killer. The train killer versus her. So they end up tussling. Instead of her dying right away, they're putting up a fight. And while this fight ensues, she opens up the door to let Johnny Smith escape. So he escapes, and the door closes up again, so he's now escaped. Sabina finds herself in a rock crusher with her. Here's her opponent. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Elena starts winning her fight by using a mouse of a computer, by whipping the hell out of her killer, and then tossing a bowl of water on him, electrocuting him somehow, and pulling out Sabina in the nick of time before she was crushed in a rock crusher. Unfortunately, the killer was crushed. He had no chance of getting out. He was destroyed. But now Elena comes out to meet the other angels, but the person who Elena thought she took care of came out to finish the job. So she turned around, she tried to put an Altoid on his neck, poisons Altoid on his neck, but it ended up sticking on her finger, poisoning herself. She was killed anyways, but she poisoned herself. So this is where it changes from deadly poison to just a mild sedative, or a relatively strong, mild sedative. Now they had a cut to nice ferry ride home to their base at the safe house. So at that safe house, Sabina has a premonition about New Bosley, thinking about, is she who she really thinks she is? She doesn't think so. She doesn't think so. And right at that time, I believe, oh boy, at that time, Elena gets a phone call. A phone call from someone she never talked to before in her life. He could have called Sabina, but he called Elena. He needed her to know that they were in grave danger, that they needed to get out. Get out of the headquarters right away. The safe house. Before they can do anything, a giant bomb goes off. A giant bomb goes off. And I'm not talking about the movie. The safe house explodes. Big explosion. Elena stumbles out, looking pristine. No, her hair just nice, Just her acting ability alone selling her that she's hurt. She stumbles to the ground, and she looks up to see New Bosley walking towards her with a gun, pointing towards her. Before anything can hear, you hear a gunshot. New Bosley goes down. Bosley has shot her. And he goes and brings Elena to safety. Seeing all this, seeing is like, hey, okay, look at this whole place. It's all fiery and stuff. The assassin, Hodak, leaves as well. Now, we cut inside, and Jane brushes herself off out of the rubble. She's okay now. She's perfectly fine. She finds Sabina's dead body, carries her outside the building. Perhaps the building may collapse some more and they may never get her body back. She starts emoting with tears. She thinks silly, but Sabina's actually not dead at all. She's actually quite fine. At that moment, Michiko comes over, brings over new Bosley. She's not dead at all, but she clears the air with the new angels, telling her that Bosley is actually the bad guy. And Elena is actually in danger. And why Bosley? Why Bosley did this? Well, apparently, he was passed over to be succeeded as... so he established his own network of criminals. And this is where Sabina had a premonition. Bosley, he was pimping me out. Cut to this first scene. Her having dinner with Johnny Smith. Proof. That he's a bad guy. Okay, now we cut to the big investors party at Alexander Brock's estate. Now, Elena is now a prisoner of Bosley, who, by the way, had Johnny Smith working for him, because he was Johnny Smith's representative at the place where they were going to meet Fleming. So now she needs a favor from Jane. But Jane won't do it, so they tied him up to die with EMP, which Fleming ended up getting her permission anyway to do it. So it's okay. So it all happens. They're all there. They're all at the party. So now the angels have to infiltrate the party as partygoers, in order to evade detection, which they thought they were for a second. They were on the dance floor, and the guards were looking. So then there's currently a dance going on, a nice choreographed dance, and they join in flawlessly. They join in with the dance, do the dance moves, and they sneak out quickly. Sneak out to a photo booth. One of those instant photo booths. I don't know if everybody's seen these. You use a photo mat, go inside there, you pay money, and it takes pictures of you, and it pushes up the side. So this is where they got to change. They have to gear up in this place here. So they have to get to change their clothes, put their guns and stuff inside there, all while taking pictures. Pictures going outside, so they're off they go, leaving full evidence behind what they were doing. Now they both find Jane and Sabina find Haddock. They fight. Jane escapes through, but Jane and Haddock fight, where Haddock gets tossed over a balcony onto an ice sculpture in front of all the crowd. They're watching this happen, this horrible accident happen in front of their face. And he gets impaled through the thing, and it is what it is. You know? So Sabina runs to help Elaine, and Brock tells everybody to go home. Party's over, go home. Now, this is where Bosley meets new Bosley. This is where it all happens, everybody. The big Bosley versus Bosley fight. Big fight. But new Bosley is beaten. She's down. Bosley's over with her. He's surrounded by his men. Or partygoer men. Partygoer people. Before he can do anything, new Bosley has one thing to say. She says, "Send the love," which that is a secret code where the lights turn off. And when they turn on, all the men are now subdued. They fall down with poisoned Altoids on their necks. All the women who were with them had poisoned them. Apparently, the men were working for Bosley. The women were working for the angels. Every one of them. Wow. So, Now, this is where the Scooby-Doo ending comes in. The wonderful ending. Now, Bosley is explained to himself, he explained to the girls what happened, why, what happened. Basically, he was pushed out of the Angels. Instead of retiring, he was pushed out. So he started his own little thing. His own network of criminals. And he needed the Callisto. So I guess he's telling this to New Bosley, and then Sabina had enough and punched him in the face, knocking him out cold. That's where it ends. So the end credits go up. So while the credits are going up, we find out that Charlie, is actually a voice synthesizer, and it's actually a woman. Is Charlie. And in this case, Elena is going through a test, a skydiving test, with all the new recruits, where they all jump off, but Elena, she's told to fly the plane down. Where she does, and meets the other angels, and it's kind of ridiculous, because did she really want to be an angel? She was an engineer. You know, she was an engineer, and she wanted to stop Callisto. And somehow she became an angel. It's like, did she come first, or it's like chicken or the egg? Was she did Charlie know about Elena before she came in to talk about the who knows? So that's the story. Now, the EMP. I don't know why Bosley would want it for anything, because he was not going to use it as a power source. Ultimate power source, so he can go somewhere and plot revenge and is similar to stuff where he can live off the grid and do something with the power source. No, he wanted to kill certain people. And he only had 6 of them, so he could kill... Okay, he wanted to kill 2 people. It has a very... You can only use them once. Once and done. So once he uses the EMP, then what? Okay, he has 6 more, and then what? He gets a 6 done. You can just use it as an assassin. What? That's an overly complicated way to kill somebody with this ridiculous EMP. But that's what it is. It's a movie that was made. It did not have to be made. But you know what? Most movies don't have to be made. Somebody had an idea that had to be done. Boredom, whatnot. Because they like to write. But they got people to act in it. They got Patrick Stewart to act in it. They got people to direct it. People to write it. People to film it. People to score it. Yes, it was complete nonsense. But people were on board. And it was done. Now, that's been my review of Charlie's Angels. This has been At the Movies. I'm your host, Tetsu Omega, signing out.